What's good, defenders? It's the night before a match, and you know that means it's time for one more sleep. This is Defenders of the Bank, the LAFC podcast heard in 100 countries worldwide, which it seems like that's how long, Philly, that LAFC has been traveling 33,000 miles so far this season. And now we head to beautiful Kansas City. That's right, home of good barbecue. It's the Scarf, and directly to my left is one Christian Philly Philemon going corporate today, my friend.
Corporate indeed, because, gotta work hard for that money. Maybe we could even put hashtag corporate sellout Philly. Yeah, I don't like it any more than any of y'all like it. I have to do it, though. It is what it is. But at least I still get to become and stay the platinum-colored haired flamingo. So that's a good thing. Yeah, bro, 33,000 miles across 4 countries, 25 games played overall, 15 games MLS, 10 games, other tournaments. That really is a lot. And no, this isn't us complaining at all. We've been talking about this all along. But it is quite an interesting number, and by no means are we set to slow down either.
Look, if you want to be aspirational and then you attain some of those aspirations, what that means is coming up next is you got some travel to do. We were aspirational. We've been aspirational all 6 years in the league. Sure enough, we win MLS Cup, we win Supporters Shield, we make it to the finals of the CONCACAF Champions League tournament. That means a lot of games in not a lot of days. Unfortunately, also bit a little by the injury bug, also bit currently by the international duty demons. I mean, there's a lot going on for this club that they have to take into account day in and day out. And of course, now we got to deal with a red card too. This is not what we needed, Philly. No Mahala coming up. We already know about no Denis Bouanga or Jose Cifuentes. We know about no Sergi Palencia, obviously Maxime Crepeau. Oh boy, Philly, there is a lot that LAFC needs to work with heading into one of the hottest teams in the league, Sporting Kansas City. What?
Well, you just real quick, just to say everything you've said, if you're not already tired, we're still a month away from the All-Star break, which is crazy. Yeah. And we're going to see very soon which of our players end up in the All-Star game. And quite honestly, I hate this All-Star game. I hate the fact that we have to compete against Arsenal. I think it's the dumbest thing ever. If we sent nobody to the All-Star game, I would be perfectly content with that and still watch it and be somewhat entertained. But even with a month out, we got 3 additional midweek games. We hit the road 3 more times. And yet, somehow we're still ranked number 3 in the Western Conference, which is kind of cool. But we're going to be without couple of key players, as you said, and this is where you've got to dig deep, Scarf. Got to dig real deep, because while we've been playing like poop these last few games, you said it, Sporting Kansas City has been hot. Ever since that tie against us at BMO Stadium, they've gone 3-1-1. They've beaten the likes of Austin. They've tied Vancouver. They beat FC Dallas. They've whooped the Pine Trees of Portland. They did get smoked like a brisket, though, against St. Louis, but they're hot, and there's a certain player who I imagine one of us is going to mention as our players to watch who has been welcomed back, and he's been on fire.
Yeah, look, since May 1st, only Cincinnati and Philadelphia have accrued more points in the regular season than Sporting Kansas City. They are the number 1 team in the Western Conference since May 1st in both points and goals scored. We're talking about a Sporting Kansas City team that started out the year 0-7-3. I mean, the bottom of the barrel, not just poorly, but historically bad by MLS accounts. And now here they are, absolutely incredible, and this little run of form that they've had 10 different goal scorers on the club, plenty of weapons. That's 2 more goal scorers than LAFC has had. Philly, you have alluded to that point over and over and over again. But here's the easy part. All we have to do is hold them to 1 goal or fewer. They're 6-0-0 on the season when they score 2 or more. They're 0-9-5 when they score 1 or fewer. So John McCarthy, our back line, who's given up fewer goals than almost any team in Major League Soccer, all we got to do is do our job, baby.
Easier said than done because we haven't scored in 4 straight matches, Scarf. In fact, we haven't scored in 5 out of the last 6. And here's another crazy stat for you. In the previous 67 games, there were 5 in which we didn't score. We haven't scored in the last 5 out of 6. So a much more arduous task than one would think. We're in unprecedented times, not able to find the back of the net on a consistent basis. And Denis Bouanga has been the key part of the attack, and he's not going to be with us, captaining his international side. So while John McCarthy is more likely to get a clean sheet than us scoring a goal, it still is going to be an interesting affair against a really hot team that's gone undefeated in 4 straight home matches.
Yeah, let's not forget, Sporting Kansas City is not going to be without their troubles on the roster as well. We know no Tim Melia. We haven't seen Tim Melia all year. The old man in KC, Graham Zusi, not available for this one. Willie Agada, who is very, very good dynamic player, he's not available for this one. Marino Sionis, who's on international duty, he's not available for this one. And on the questionable list is the guy who scored against us last time, dealing with a little bit of a hamstring. I think maybe dealing with a hamstring almost since that match would be Johnny Russell and Andreu Fontas. So they're going to have to dig quite a bit deeper as well. And Sporting Kansas City, dare I say, not as deep of a club, I don't feel anyway, at least as LAFC. So it's going to be very interesting to see which clubs show up for this match. But what we do know is Sporting KC has been one of the hotter teams, and this is going to be, when we looked at it on the calendar a month ago, this was not an exciting match. LAFC was bulldozing people. Sporting was getting absolutely train wrecked by a bunch of clubs. And here we are. We're only, 6 points separating us in the standings right now, which, by the way, they're finally over the playoff line in 8th place. We're only 3 points out of first place, Philly. So plenty to play for in this one. And look, we just need goals and points at this point.
Yeah. The bright news, and I hope I don't jinx this because I seem to be jinxing our team anytime I talk about stats, is Sporting Kansas City, the last time they actually gone on to beat LAFC, you'd have to go back to August the 4th, 2021 in a match where we got the crap kicked out of us 4-1. But the series itself has been relatively even, Scarf. Doesn't matter whether you're at Children's Mercy Park or at BMO Stadium. LAFC's beaten SKC 5 times. They've beaten us 4 times. And the most recent, and the draw just happened most recently, where we were operating in high octane and we still managed to draw against them. So it'll be an even series, tightly contested. And it'll be fascinating. Should we win, though? Should we win? We would be the fastest team in Major League Soccer to reach 300 regular season points. That's got to count for something, right?
Hey, that's even more impressive considering the first how many years of this league, they didn't even have ties all that much, right? It was those ridiculous shootouts where you always had a winner and you always had points. So the fact that we're doing that in the post shootout era, when it's, real football, we're about to be the fastest team to 300 points. I completely agree, Philly, that we're going to do it in this match here. Look, if it's a draw, we get to 300. If it's a win, we get to 302. Let's go. We're going to do it. And Philly, with that, let's talk about the players that we want to watch coming into this match. Obviously, Sporting Kansas City riding a high, LAFC riding a low, but we get to talk about certain players here. And I'm talking about the Mexican national team matchup. That's right. Alan Pulido and Carlos Vela, they're going to have plenty to talk about in this match after last night's 3-0 drubbing by the U.S. men's national team. You got to think that Carlos and Alan Pulido are going to be fired up, wanting to represent the Mexican national team, El Tri. Alan Pulido was a player who has been a disappointment over the first season and a half or so that he was with Sporting Kansas City. He just couldn't get healthy, couldn't find his way on the pitch. But since about midway through last year, Alan Pulido has been exactly who Sporting Kansas City thought he was when they brought him over. He is an incredible talent in and around the box and a player that we must watch out for. And Carlos said it himself. He is a lightning rod for criticism. And when he's not playing well, the team is not playing well. So with that, I firmly believe, I don't think his best days are as far behind him as many people do, but I think that we need one of his best days in Kansas City. Didn't think I'd be saying that sentence a month ago. In order for us to right the ship. So Carlos Vela, Alan Pulido, a little El Tree themed players to watch from your friendly neighborhood. Scarf, Philly, who you got as your 2 players to watch?
That's a very. I'm glad you picked Alan Pulido. Actually, I'm not, because I had a whole thing on him. There's no question, or obviously it's why Sporting Kansas City's doing anything, because he's good, man. Couple, 3 goals over the course of 2 games. Can't complain about Alan Pulido. But as far as my players to watch are concerned, they're different.
Okay.
I like to go with the low-hanging fruit, as you like to say, Scarf. Daniel Shallowy, the team's leading scorer and leading assist man, always a dangerous player to watch, and he's basically been the one who's had to shoulder the Kansas City attack for a couple of seasons now, and that's been a job that he has taken with the utmost kind, caring, and respect, as he's been their leading man. This team goes by way of how he performs. Now a lot of the pressure is off of him thanks to Alan Pulido, but Daniel Shallowy is still the man to go. And I think at this point, Mate Bogusz is going to be the player to watch on LAFC. He's starting to get closer and closer to notching himself another goal for the black and gold. He had the only shot on target against the Houston Dynamo this past Wednesday. And I have the utmost faith in the fact that this young man is going to come through and take care of business. I love the way he dribbles in and out of trouble. I love his composure. I like watching him glide down the pitch, but I would like it a little more if he was scoring goals. And I think we're not going to have a reason to say anything negatively about him, because I do feel like he's going to get on the board against Sporting Kansas City.
Yeah, Daniel Shallowy, obviously a great pick. Look, since August of 22, right? Daniel Shallowy is one of just 3 players in all of Major League Soccer in the Western Conference to have 7 goals and 7 primary assists. Those 3 players, Carlos Vela, Christian Espinoza, and Daniel Shallowy. So clearly one of the offensive juggernauts in this league, one of the more unsung players, although like he gets MVP votes every now and again, right? So he's a very, very good player. I love the Mate Bogusz pick. It's going to be a lot of fun. Keys to the match, for me, I just picture, poking it with a stick. Do something. We need to do something with possession. Philly, we had 70+% possession against Houston. Was that a magic wand? What were you just holding up there? 70+%. Drumstick. 70+%, if I'm not mistaken, against the Houston Dynamo. And you mentioned the most telling stat of all. One shot on target, and that was at the very tail end of first half stoppage time by Mate Bogusz. So when we have the ball, do something with the ball. And don't worry, I have suggestions as my second key to the match. We need to play with that attacking mindset. Use those progressive passes. We need to push the ball through the open line. Take the space in front of you. If you're Jesus Murillo, I want you to be aggressive. I want you to be as aggressive as you have been since you've come back from injury. What I love about Murray is he takes that ball through the space. He's looking for that progressive pass, something that we tend to miss every now and then with Jose Cifuentes, something that we've definitely been missing with Timothy Tillman on the bench. We need to make those line-breaking passes from the defense through the midfield into the front line. We need to show that attacking mindset that we have been known for, especially on the counter. We just seem like we haven't been able to counter as much. Attack, attack, attack. Get your foot on the gas and go. Philly?
I like it. I'm going to chalk it down to something very easy. Shoot with accuracy and intent. You can't do much when you have one shot on target. The opportunities are there. They're building up their plays, but the accuracy hasn't fallen through in the last game. And what I mean by shoot with intent, there are a couple of times where we witnessed some of our boys taking wild shots right into traffic, getting it blocked by the proverbial low block bus in front of their shooting paths. So accuracy and intent is all we need, because this team can build up from the backfield. This team is very good at connecting together. Where they've been missing lately is obviously finding the back of the net. And you can't do that without accuracy. And if you're going to kick right into a wall, you need a little bit more intent than just to shoot wildly into the night in the dark. So I feel like if we cozy and tidy these things up with the buildup that we have in these games, should be okay.
Yeah, you know what? I definitely think we're going to be okay, because let's take a look at the score prediction. I'm saying it's going to be 2-1. I think that there's going to be a moment of brilliance at some point for Sporting Kansas City. They are at home. They are playing extraordinarily well. But I think our back line has been the most consistent that we have seen over the course of our 5-6 years. That Houston Dynamo game notwithstanding, I think a lot of things changed when they took Giorgio Chiellini out. I think that LAFC will do everything that they need to keep a clean sheet, except there's going to be that moment at some point, and I think it'll be Alan Pulido getting on the end of something, Daniel Shalhoub, Johnny Russell creating some problems in and around the box. We'll see what happens there. But I think that LAFC has to rally the troops. We've got to bounce back. We have not seen a lot offensively. We've seen a lot of things offensive from this club, but they haven't been on the offensive end of the pitch, that's for sure. So, look, I think this is a club that is saying all the right things, is feeling all the right things, and we're doing a lot of things right. We're just not putting the ball in the back of the net, although we really haven't created as many opportunities as I would have liked over these last couple of matches. Look, the good thing is we're not talking about Houston anymore, but we've got to get something done at Children's Mercy Park, and I think we will. I'm hoping we see vintage Vela. I think that we know we won't be seeing Opoku, right? So I think your pick to click, Mati Bogusz, might have something to say about that scoreline as well. 2-1 LAFC.
I just have to disagree with one thing. We've had our opportunities. We had 14 attempts, only one of them on target in the last game. The previous match against Atlanta, we had 22 with 8 on target. The attempts are there. The buildups are there. The opportunities are there. Just lately, it's not threading the netting. So I love you, but I have to disagree with you slightly. That's still more chances than most teams get over the course of a regular game. So we're still a threat in a lot of ways. But as I've turned into this season, I don't have your optimism for this game, Scarf. I don't. My score prediction, I'm doing the womp womps. I don't think LAFC is going to come out at Kansas City or Children's Mercy Park with 3 points. What I do believe, though, is that things get worse before they get better. And what I mean by that is as follows. I do think Sporting Kansas City is going to ride their high and score that first goal of the game. And yes, more than likely by way of Shalhoub or Pulido. Hell, even Johnny Football, Johnny Scotch himself, Johnny Russell, he could find the back of the net. It might be him. I'm saying there's a darn good chance between those three. So that's where it hits the skids. But then I do believe that Mati Bogusz, at some point within the second half, is going to get the equalizer. And this will be the momentum that we utilize to carry ourselves into next Wednesday against the Seattle Sounders, where we completely flip the script and turn our season around. It gets worse before it gets better, but it will get worse and better. In this matchup at Children's Mercy Park, LAFC will walk out with a point, and we should all be satisfied if they can walk out with a point because, as has been stated, 3 points at home, at least one on the road, that's a surefire way to compete for that supporter shield.
I hear you. I have to say, I was very close to picking a 1-1 scoreline, but being satisfied with it, I will not be. No, thank you very much. This is a club that, again, has far higher aspirations than eking out a draw at Children's Mercy Park. I totally forgot the name of the park for a second there. We are not here to eke out a draw. We're here to win. We're here to break through that 300-point barrier. We're getting a 302 in the fewest games in the history of Major League Soccer, despite not having an advantageous shootout rule for the first 5-6 seasons that we were in existence, unlike some teams that are since 96. LAFC continues to break through those ceilings, those barriers that all other clubs had set before them. We're winning this one 2-1. We're winning this one because, damn it, we have to. We've sucked recently, and I'm tired of watching us suck. It's been hard. I don't want to be satisfied with, look how great we played, 22 shots and an 8 on target. And if it wasn't for Brad Guzan standing on his head, no, horse pucky. That's what I have to say to that. We are taking 3 points out of Kansas City. And if they want to bring back some barbecue, I'll take some too.
The barbecue there is legit. Everybody brags about how good their barbecue is. But when I happened to have been in Kansas City last January for that coaches convention, I Wow, I was blown away, Scarf. The mouth-watering goodness out of Kansas City. It's amazing barbecue. We need to get out there, whether it be during the outdoor season or the indoor season. Kansas City certainly knows how to barbecue, my friend.
I'm in. Look, you don't have to convince me twice. I'm going to have some pretty good barbecue tomorrow. Very excited. Down at Phil's in San Diego. That's going to be a good time.
Whatever.
Hey, you're on the call though again, right? This Saturday. Want to plug that real quick?
Yeah, WPSL action, FC Premier against Rancho Cucamonga's own Rebels Empire. It'll be fun. I won't have Panda on the call with me because Panda had a prior obligation, Blink-182 tickets. But you know who's going to be on the call with me, Scarf?
Who's going to be on the call with you? Is it the good doctor?
No, he will be taking over for me the final game of the season on June the 30th. But the man joining me in the bleachers of Cabrillo High School in Long Beach, California, friend of the pod, manager of game day operations for FC Premier, one Chris Lafferty. He's going to hang out with me in the booth.
I love it. Wait, am I supposed to be with Jonathan on that game on the 30th? Do I need to put that in my calendar? Is that him and I?
I know we've talked about it, but knowing you and I, some things probably slip both of our minds and through the cracks.
All right. Well, something that's not going to slip through the cracks is this opportunity in Kansas City. I've got 2-1. Philly's got 1-1. And I'm actually leading towards his score prediction, but I'm going to be optimistic. Bring me back some barbecue.
No doubt. One last thing. We talked about him in ad nauseum by not playing for LAFC because of an injured pelvis. Want to give a massive shout out to Julian Gaines, who made his first career MLS appearance as he played 19 minutes against the Dynamo on June the 10th. The pelvis getting some burn. Sounds kind of funny, actually. The pelvis getting some burn. Julian Gaines getting some playing time. I love it. Congratulations on your first MLS experience. I wanted to make sure we shouted that out.
We talked about that on the podcast. It was just really late at night and you and I were both asleep, but I like it.
All right. Well, I'll tell you this. Not that many people listened to the podcast this last time around. In fact, the numbers are, I would argue, the lowest they've been all season. But that's okay because they've been relatively high. Once we start winning, they'll turn things around. But we want to say thank you for everything's coming still off of the audio, a little small sliver of things still on the YouTubes. But make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube. Hit those notifications, those like buttons. We certainly want to build up that channel. And you get to see our smiling faces and see the reactions as, you know, Scarf does things like talk about Tom Brady or the look on his face when I pull out Hello Kitty, things of that nature. Yeah, I mean, you don't get to see that by listening to the podcast. So make sure you check us out. And that is all.
That's right. And with that, let's wake everybody up with a sweet guitar riff, Philly.
Yeah, if I could find it. Yeah, hold on. This is why producer Panda needs to be around. Keep saying things. I'm almost there.
I'll keep saying things. Look, I got a new scarf right up here. We got the Bayern scarf. You can kind of see it right there. So a new scarf, the addition of the world famous scarf wall here. I'm assuming at one point it's just gonna